Golden State Media Concepts Technology Podcast covers everything tech. The hottest mobile phones, tablets, games. We review it, rate it, test it. Whether you're Microsoft or Apple, Android or iPhone, we'll give it to you black and white. The Golden State Media Concepts Technology Podcast.
Hello there, everybody. This is Jay here with the GSMC Technology Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. So we got some really great stuff to talk about this episode. So let's just jump right on in. So the first one is something that I have not personally used, but I know many friends who have. It was something that started off really good, was really popular, a lot of people really loved, but toward the end of the year, it made some bad decisions and lost a lot of customers. What am I talking about, you may be wondering? Moviepass. That's right. It was a like a service where you could pay $10 a month. You could watch supposedly as many movies as you wanted. And so they've come up with some new pricing plans. So it has been a rocky year for Moviepass, something that CEO Mitch Lowe has acknowledged recently in an interview recently. So to that end, the company is launching a new pricing structure that will take effect in January. If you like paying $9.95, don't worry, you'll still be able to do that, at least in some geographies. If, on the other hand, you're willing to pay a little more, you'll no longer be limited by the ever-changing list of movies that Moviepass is supporting on a given day. So there are now 3 tiers, each of them offering 3 movie tickets each month. There's Select, which will cost between $9.95 and $14.95 per month, depending again on geography and area you live in, and will only allow viewers to watch certain movies on certain days. All Access, which costs between $14.95 and $19.95, allows you to go to any standard screening. And Red Carpet, which costs between $19.95 and $24.95, will include one IMAX 3D or other large format screening each month. So, the company states that this new structure will allow it to break even on the tickets it's selling, a key step to making the business model work, and something that I don't think really helped it work too much in the beginning. I think that was one of their big problems that came up. It's just the way it was. Moviepass fans will likely remember that the company appeared to be running out of money over the summer, leading to it to announce a price increase only to back away from said price hike in favor of adding limitations on how many movies and which movie subscribers could see. Meanwhile, the New York Attorney General's office said it was investigating Moviepass for possible securities fraud, and parent company Helios and Matheson said it would spin off Moviepass into a separate company. So the competition is, of course, growing. App Store intelligence company Sensor Tower says Moviepass only added 12,000 new users to its mobile app last month, down 97% from the growth it was seeing at its high point in January. In addition to rethinking its pricing, Moviepass is also making organizational changes. The company told the New York Times that although Loeb remains CEO, he'll be handing over responsibility for day-to-day operations to Executive Vice President Khalid Itum. So, yeah, like I said in the beginning, this was an app, a service that came out originally that did really, really well. I knew a lot of people who saw it, who joined it, and loved it. They were like, hey, why wait in line, to see movies when I can just see them whenever I want, as often as I want for just $10 a month. Sadly, as this went along, as I heard from friends, some decisions were made that made it not worth it anymore. The limitations, a lot of the people I know really angered them. They're like, this is ridiculous. I can only see movies certain days, certain times. I'm restricted now. And I know a lot of people just said, to heck with Moviepass, just what they did. They're like, forget this. I'm not giving them my money anymore. And some people turned away from it. And so when I saw this article, I'm like, it makes sense what Moviepass is doing. It does. But here's where I see this going. I see that, I think they lost some customers for good. I think they lost the majority of their customers for good. Even though the pricing isn't insanely bad, it's not something that I think is going to bring customers back. I don't think. I just don't. They really, in my opinion, messed up when they started off with this great business plan, this great deal, and everybody loved it. And when they made changes to it that didn't make it so appeasing anymore, people walked away, and I would have too. It's just the truth, so it's nice they're trying to save themselves, but I don't know at this point if that's possible. And I just mean that. I don't know. I look at it, I'm like, man, you kind of angered a number of your customers off already. You pushed them away, with making these changes and the prices and limitations and only certain days, certain times, which is like. And I even knew some people who said it wasn't even working, anymore. It just wasn't. They tried to use it, and it wouldn't let them even use it. So it's like, it'd be like if you had Netflix, and you're like, oh, cool, I'm going to watch all this free stuff, and it's not letting you watch anything. It's like, well, then why am I paying the money for it? Why am I doing that? What's the point? And I think that's what happened with Moviepass. So, I applaud them for trying to save themselves and saving their company. But I just don't know if it's going to be savable. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think it's hard to say. I don't know is the truth. Because, there were like Regal and some other companies tried to do something like it, but it wasn't that great. And I think what really happened, I think was one of their biggest problems, I think it does say this in this article, is they were saving their customers a lot of money, but they were losing a lot of money in the process, I think is what happened. And it didn't help, too, where certain areas and certain theaters said, you can't use Moviepass here. So it's like, hey, in some geographic areas, you're like, hey, I bought Moviepass for $10 a month or $8 a month or however much it was. And then you're told in your area, oh, yeah, we don't use that. It's like, well, then why in the world am I paying money for it if I can't use it? That doesn't make any sense. So I don't know. It was one of those things where it was great at first. It was very, a lot of people I knew really, really enjoyed it, but it was kind of too good to last, I think is what happened. So, personally from Moviepass, I hope you save yourselves, but I just don't know if it's savable at this point. I don't know. It's just the truth. It's like, I don't know. I think like you had a good run. You really did. You got a lot of customers and, saved them a lot of money. But I don't know. I just think when you change things and you turn stuff around and, and made it much more difficult to use and just not as tantalizing as it was when it first came out, I think a lot of your people turn their backs on the company and the service. And, like I said, I think I'm an optimist about this. I'm like, hey, I'd love to see you, come back on top and, and draw in customers again. But I think if you're going to do that, my opinion here, this is just me talking, maybe do some really good dealing. Because I knew some people who signed up for a year, and it was like, if you signed up for a year, it was only $8 a month instead of $10 a month, or like $6.99 a month, something like that. So if you were like, hey, you sign up now, it's like this much for a month, if you sign up for a year or 18 months, or you get a few months free with it. And maybe even do like, hey, some screenings just exclusive just to Moviepass people. Maybe that might help. Maybe that might bring people back. Maybe. It's just a thought. It's just something I would say to do because, it was a really great new company. You don't see new companies come out every day. And, I kind of like underdog, companies like this that come out and, make good deals for people. And I don't know. I hope they're able to bounce back from this and come back, and be, the great company they were again. But I think really when it comes to this, it's going to be a time will tell thing. I think it's just what's going to happen. So you can bet I will keep an eye on future articles about this and bring it to this podcast to see what's going next, good or bad or indifferent, things like that. And I would just say definitely right now, I would say let's see where it goes. That's where I'm at. Let's see where it goes. Let's see if, is this going to be, the revival they need, or is it too little too late? We'll have to see. So we're going to take ourselves a short little break, and we'll be back in a few moments with more technology news.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast, dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Hello everybody, this is Jay, back with some more technology news. So, if you've listened to me, I've been doing this podcast episode for maybe a couple months now. I usually always love bringing up something robot related if I can, either AI or robot or things like that. I'm fascinated by it. The stories are usually pretty cool. They have some fun doing them, and I think it's one of those things that could have some really cool implications. So I tried to find some for this episode, and the ones I found, well, let's put it this way. They were definitely different. They were definitely not the usual stuff I'll find, not the usual fare. This one especially is kind of strange, and I don't really know much about the robot itself, but I guess it's a new version of it. This is called YouBionic Spot Mini. Yeah, if you've ever wanted to add creepy 3D printed hands to your creepy robot dog, YouBionic has you covered. This odd company is offering an entirely 3D printed arm solution for the Boston Dynamics Spot Mini, the dog-like robot that already has an arm of its own. YouBionic is selling the $179 3D models for the product that you can print and assemble yourself. This solution is very skimpy on the details, but it essentially turns the Spot Mini into a robotic centaur. Regal and majestic as those mythical creatures are. There sadly isn't much description of how the system will work in practice. The STLs include the structural parts, but not the electronics. That being said, though, it is a fascinating concept, and it could mean the beginning of a truly component-based robotics solution. So, where do I begin with this one? So, the YouBionic itself is basically like a robot dog. It walks on 4 legs, and this might have been the similar robot that had like one arm where they tested opening a door. That might be the YouBionic, or it might have been a robot similar to it. And I wouldn't personally say it's creepy, the YouBionic Spot Mini itself. No, I wouldn't say that. It's kind of cool. It can walk around, it can, like I said, I think it had an arm already to open a door, so it could do little, things like that. And it doesn't look too bad, and it doesn't. It's not a huge robot, but it's an okay size robot. That being said, though, so adding 3D printed hands to it, I don't really understand. I don't understand why it's like, what my, YouBionic needs? 3D printed plastic hands. Someone said that to me, I'd go, no, I don't think it does. because they're not metal, okay? To my knowledge, you can't, like, move them and lift things. I don't think you can. I believe I saw a short video of this, but it didn't really show it moving. It just showed, hey, look, here's your robotic dog with the hands on it now, how it's going to look, different angles, things like that, 3D models. But it didn't show it doing anything. It didn't show it lifting up any cups or opening any doors or anything like that. It didn't have any, like, applications of, hey, here's why you should print out 3D printed plastic hands for YouBionic. It didn't do that, which was really weird. So the video I saw, and for all I know, there may be other videos of this on YouTube, but the video I saw was just like, okay, here's what the dog looks like with the hands. That's it. And so they're saying, you can, like, for $179, which isn't, chump change to me. It's little expensive for just, the 3D models for the product. And it's not like you go, like, they print it for you and mail it to you. No, you pay them $179 and you print it and assemble it yourself. That's like paying a car company, let's say $3,000 to give you the models for a car, but you have to print it and assemble it yourself. It's like, that's like some assembly required, which is basically all assembly required. So I don't understand why you would pay them that just so you could have the models to do everything yourself. I don't understand that. Does it come with instructions, I wonder? I mean, I would hope so, but I don't really know. This is kind of a weird article, too, because it doesn't really tell you much about it or why they've done this. Just like, hey, and it's, the article itself does kind of like, almost treat it as a joke and not take it seriously, but it is serious. It's just, I don't know. I'm kind of on the same point with the writer of this article. I'm just like, yeah, you could do that, but why would you? I mean, why would you, why did they make this? Why did they go, you know what this thing needs? It needs arms. It looks like a centaur. It's like, I don't know why. I don't understand, like, what was going on through their heads and, like, what we're going to do now? We're going to make ourselves plastic arms for it. I just don't understand. And I think it's not that strong of a business model just because, again, like I said in the video, it doesn't show you the hands being used. It just shows you, this is what it looks like with the hands. It's like, okay, that's like, look at this, like, little robot, and then look what happens if you add an arm to it. Okay, does the arm do anything? No, it's just, cosmetic. Then why in the world should I put it on there? Why would I do that? I don't understand. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. It's like, why should I pay you money for this or even do this if it, at least as far as I could tell in the video, it's just cosmetic. I don't think there's any reason to do it. And like the article says, it's kind of weird where, like, there isn't much on the details of this. Like, it's like other articles I've read, it says, hey, the robot can do this or the robot can do that, or with this, like I did that one about the drone. Where's this little drone that attached to the floor, and you'd see, like, it pick up, like, little objects that weighed up to so much with a hook. So you at least saw, okay, here's the little drone, here's the size of it, it can fly up in the air, it can open doors, it can pull stuff up, so, like, it showed everything it could do. So you're like, hey, if you want to spend money for this, you can see, hey, here's where you might be able to use it. This is, like, what this thing can do. So this one is just like, okay, like, hey, it's this. Isn't this kind of cool? It's like, no. I mean, it looks all right, but, it's just like almost like a look at this what we did article. It's like, okay, well, hooray for you, I guess, but why did you do it? What's the reason to do it? Why should I pay your company money to, do it, like, for my robot or my YouBionic? Why should I do that? I mean, I don't understand. So, yeah, I wish I had a better, more gripping robot article for you, but this was all I could find. And it's probably one of the weirder robot articles I've ever read. It just really is. It's one for the books, that's for sure. And it's one that, I don't know, if maybe you have the money lying around and you have a YouBionic and you want to make it like a centaur, that would be great. And you know what? I'll keep it out because maybe future articles will come out that explain, okay, if you were wondering why we had you get those plastic hands for your plastic arms, 3D printed hands for your, YouBionic. Here's why. And I hope they do that, because right now, I just see like, okay, you can do this, but why should you? What's the point? I just doesn't make any sense to me. It goes right over my head. Whatever point there is, goes over my head. So we're going to take ourselves another short little break, and we'll be back in a few moments with more technology news.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Hello there, everybody. This is Jay, back for some more technology news. So, this is usually the section of the program of the episode where I like to do something video game related. It took me a little while to find something, but when I stumbled upon this, I'm like, this is actually kind of cool. This is kind of clever. This is definitely different. It's something I hadn't heard of before, which I usually like to think I have a pretty good, idea of games coming out on what systems and, when and where and things like that. But this one I had just never heard of before, and I think it's because this one maybe got announced recently. Now, if you are like me, you might be familiar with the How to Train Your Dragon series. It's a very popular series by DreamWorks Animation, by the way, all computer animated. They have done 2 movies so far, and a third is coming out next year, I want to say in February, I think. And there's also been, and I haven't watched this, there's a animated series called The Riders of Berk, or The Dragons of Berk, something like that. I think it's had like 3 or 4 or 5 seasons, so it's a very popular series. I've loved the films. I haven't had a chance to watch the show, but it's a series that has been going on for a while, and it's really popular. A lot of people really like it, different ages. And it looks like with this final movie, the series itself may be coming to a close. So again, when I heard of this game, I was kind of like, oh, that's kind of interesting. So it's almost like it's over, but it's not. Like, so it's kind of interesting. So this game is called Dragons: Dawn of New Riders. A new heroic dragon and rider are taken to the skies, and only you can help them defeat the evil villains who destroyed a dragon sanctuary created by Hiccup, Toothless, and his dragon riders. When the island of Havenholm is found in ruins, mysterious survivors emerge as unlikely future heroes. Scribbler is a scholar who cannot remember his past, while Patch is a unique breed of dragon, a Chimeragon, which new unexpected powers they discover along the way. Together they must explore new islands, battle fierce enemies, and recover the memories that reveal Patch's true origin in this fun and fiery new action adventure. So this game looked like a top-down adventure, a side-scroller. I only saw a few pictures of it so far, but you're going around with your new Chimeragon. There were parts where you're fighting little enemies. There was one picture of a giant dragon boss you fight. So this is kind of intriguing because it looks like what this wants to do is kind of like tell maybe what happens after the third film, maybe an event that either happened during the third film or around there shortly after, something like that. So it was interesting. I'm like, I'm not against them doing stuff. Like, this isn't the first time they've done this, at least with video games. Sega Genesis did an Aladdin game that I want to say came out before Aladdin and the King of Thieves that was called like Namira's Revenge or something like that, where we found out, hey, Jafar had a sister. Now, we only ever saw said sister in this game. We never ever saw them anywhere else. And forgive me if I'm getting that name wrong. I didn't play the game personally, but I do remember it. And so sometimes like video games and books like that give you a chance to like, hey, let's look a little bit deeper into, the story and maybe another chapter of the story that can't technically be told in, a show or a movie or things like that. So, yeah, this sounds like it might be an interesting game. It really does. I don't think it's going to be immensely violent, and I won't say the graphics are at the level of like the show, but if you are a fan of the How to Train Your Dragon series, which this seems almost like a spin-off of, or maybe like a continuation, this might be a game you want to play. I really think so. Yeah, because like it looks like it wants to tell you a bit more about that series, and it comes out, I think, either after or around the time of the movie. It comes out on Nintendo Switch February 15th, 2019. So, yeah, I think this is, I can't say if I'm like dying to play this game or really itching and excited for this game, but I can't say I'm not either. I'm intrigued. Let's put it that way. I'm in a place where I'm like, you know what? I'm intrigued about this game. I'm curious. I would like to know more. I definitely want to see more. I don't know if there's a trailer of this yet on YouTube. I don't think so. At least I don't remember seeing one. I didn't dig too deep to find one, but I'm not sure if there is one. But on the Nintendo website, I believe you can at least see a little bit about it, a few pictures, basic premise, so you get a little basic idea for the game itself. And yeah, it's definitely a game I think kids will enjoy. I definitely think it'll be a game for kids, but I think fans of this series may enjoy it. I don't know if the difficulty level is going to be really, really high, but like I said, I think this game only got released announced recently, so I think there isn't a whole lot out there about it yet. Now, that's a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is, hey, the game's coming out. The bad thing is, you don't know a lot about it. But at the same time, maybe as it gets closer to its release, you might find out more about it, which I guess is a good thing. When Nintendo does one of their next, I want to say they're called Connects or something like that, where they announce their new games, things like that, maybe you'll see more about it. Maybe you'll see some more gameplay about it. So, I think it'll be interesting. I think this is really a game in a nutshell. I want to know more before I get to, before I decide, do I really want to try this game or not? Do I really want to spend the money for this game or not? Is this a game that I think I might actually enjoy? Because some games I've heard, look good, but their stories aren't too big, or they're not long enough. It doesn't take enough time to, beat it. It may not be challenging enough. So I wonder if this game will have that issue come up, or if it's going to be just fine. But, yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm curious. My interest is, it's not peaked, but it's definitely like, okay, could be fun, could be interesting. As a fan of the series, I'm like, I'm curious. I am, but I really do want to know more. So I will ask Nintendo, please give me, a bit more about the game. Let me see some gameplay maybe, or see a trailer or even a teaser trailer. I'll even take that just so I can be like, okay, let me know a bit more about the game. How does this play into the narrative of the whole series? Does it at all? And it doesn't really say, really, at least what I see for it, doesn't say if it's after the third film or if it's during the third film. So there isn't really a whole lot of information about it either. So you can bet I'll be keeping my eyes open for this game, Dragons Dawn of New Riders. And if I do happen to hear more about it or see more about it, I will be sure to bring it to this podcast, because I don't know if other people are as intrigued as I am. But when my interest is going interesting, curiouser and curiouser, I do want to know more, and I definitely do want to talk about it more. So, as more information about this game comes out, I shall hopefully be able to bring it here. So that's all we have for this episode of the Technology Podcast. I hope you had a lot of fun and learned some really cool things, but do not worry. We'll be back real soon with more technology news.